All right, good evening, everyone. And so we're going to try to fix some things here. So you say the graphics look a little different, but that's all right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Green White Checker TV. We are here tonight at Worldwide Technology Raceway, also known as Gateway to me and to probably many others. So we are at race number 9 for the season. After time, there will be 3 more races to go. So right now, not a huge field tonight. About 10 drivers looks like taking grid. So we'll see if that comes into play for the championship side of things. Unfortunately, some of our contenders not able to make it tonight. However, Craig Forsyth, our current leader by 58 over Matt Wagner, is here, as is Matt. Charles Teed not able to make it, unfortunately, tonight. However, I did hear there's a $5 bounty on the heads of the 6 and the number 99 cars. So maybe if we see some drama between drivers and those, Charles Teed's going to owe those guys $5. So, joking aside, but Gary Laverne, Yari Brupacher are the top 5 in the points. They are both here as well. We've also got Eric Peterson's around, Jeff Heisong, Jim Herrick, Casey Pahutsky, Yari Brupacher, Edson Santos, and Bill Colley are the 10 drivers here this evening. So right now qualifying going on. I'm going to try to see if I can fix our overlays for a second, because that's definitely not what it should be looking like. But hope you're all having a wonderful Tuesday evening. And then I'll be joined very shortly by a Mr. Andrew Wood. Knowing him, he's actually probably already hiding in here.
Hello, I'm here. Yes. One thing I want to comment right off the bat is we don't need the large amount of drivers to produce some great racing. If any of you viewers were watching the Milwaukee race, we had a very small field there, and we had one of the most exciting races we've had on Green White Checker TV in quite some time. So if anything is to be translated from one small track to another, it's quite possible we could see some good action here tonight as well. Gateway is definitely one of those tracks where you behave one side of the track one way and one side of the track the other. These drivers will be changing their weight jacker settings quite a bit throughout tonight, and something like that could catch some people out, and we actually could have some good racing, especially here under the lights.
That looks like what I was looking for. But yeah, no, you're spot on. Like you said, Milwaukee, I mean, that was just an incredible race, a lot of fun. And like you said too, I don't think either of us saw that coming, but it was a blast. So what we do have, though, is it looks like everybody has finished up their qualifying. So we are going to jump over towards our pit road here, take a look at the cars, and say we'll see actually if they are on pit road or they might be on the front stretch. We'll have to wait and see. Yep, they are definitely on the front stretch. But let's pull up our starting grid for tonight, as it will be Matt Wagner on pole by almost a tenth and a half. Great qualifying lap for him here, Andrew, over Craig Forsyth. So there's 1-2 in the points, starting 1-2. Then Jim Herrick, Eric Peterson, Gary Laverne, Jeff Heisong, Yari Brupacher, Edson Santos, Casey Putsky, and Bill Colley will be our 10 drivers tonight. I said also, I know in another league, Bill Colley got the win here at this track, so that's always one of those things that kind of maybe brings a little bit of just maybe not, I don't know if confidence would be the right thing, but it's like, hey man, I've won this race before at this track, so it really be really cool to see Bill get a good result here as well. I know I say he's definitely one of the drivers. Let's say they always love to see him do well. One of those guys, pretty soft spoken, but always tries to race everybody really fair and really clean.
Yeah, and it definitely seems like if he's that good at this track, maybe he's going for a last to first challenge. We never know, right? And with this kind of short track situation as well, especially what I mentioned before with the weight jacker settings, that it's quite possible that he could take advantage of an early yellow or something that puts him in a spot where he can undercut some cars up ahead, because these cars thrive on new tires even in a nighttime setting. So it's quite possible he can go off strategy and pick up some spots. But I'm also taking a look at the front row there. That's your quote-unquote bounty. I'm not sure if we should really be talking about this necessarily, but Charles Teed's main 2 guys in the championship he's trying to fight are P1 and P2 right now, and this is definitely a track position kind of track. So we'll have to see how it goes. This race can always bring forth some sort of drama, and I'm not even going to sit here and say this race will just be a procession, because that's what we said from Milwaukee, and look what we saw. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what kind of show these guys put on tonight.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely in agreement with you there. And that's the thing is, I mean, there's times also, like you said, especially I feel like a track like this where not having the 20 plus whatever cars honestly probably makes it a little bit more enjoyable for the drivers as well. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to see what these guys have in store for us. Strategy also could come into play. I was hearing maybe 40, 45 laps on fuel, 135 lap race. So if someone can save a little extra each run, maybe pull out a pit stop and try to pull this off with the two stopper as well. So we'll have to see kind of the strategy for some of these drivers here tonight.
Looks like we're getting ready to go green here. The pace car is coming through turn 4, a sharp turn there, and we're about to go racing.
So yeah, so Matt Wagner again, he is going to be that control car as they come up to the flag stand waiting for that green flag to fly. And we are down and away 135 laps here at Gateway as drivers head down into turn number 1 for the first time.
It looks like Jari Brubacher back in row 4 there was trying to predict when the green flag came out. He got a little bit held up, and he unfortunately lost a couple spots there and is now sitting back in P9.
Yeah, also it's like Jari lost a spot. Gary's actually had a tough initial start as well here. He's fighting right now with Jari to try to hold that position because right now it's kind of between the two of them. Currently lost 2 spots for Gary. As I say that contact, those two make contact as we were watching them. And no yellow as of yet. I'm thinking, I think the admins will probably wind up throwing that yellow. Caution's out. Right on focus with them. I was saying those two, you kind of mentioned, I just maybe not the start they're hoping for. Maybe a little bit of aggression, trying to regain some stuff, or just a very. So I mean, turn 1. Let's say you can obviously very 2 different turns, Andrew, but you can kind of also give a little bit of an explanation of kind of what these things do. Let's say we'll come back and take another look at it here on the entry of 1. Oh, actually, yeah, just kind of Gary kind of arcing up, I'd say, a little bit to try to get that entry. It looked like into 1. Jari was there, and maybe Gary expected something a little different. Or again, I mean, that's from us. A lot's happening behind the wheel versus what we're seeing from the TV views. But yeah, it kind of looked like they're just going for the same real estate there, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you go into turn 1 there's especially towards the back of the field, it starts to check up a little bit more, and maybe it might be in such a situation that someone's not expecting it. So Jari is already a little bit frazzled because he lost a couple spots when he didn't think he was going to, and next thing you know, he kind of misses the checkup and the car ahead trying to make the turn into turn 1. So a little unfortunate there, but these guys both have a faster pair, so I imagine that they're both going to try and continue, especially with a short field tonight.
Yeah, I was saying I just saw the fast pair go for Gary. If Yaris doesn't have suspension damage, he might be able to save this faster pair. Say just get that nose cone replaced. So I say we'll see if it's a quick stop. I say this is usually a telltale if it's another 5 seconds or so added to the stop. And that's a quick one. So I think that's faster pair for Yari as well. And actually, I say thinking back about the wreck, is like actually no, he went for a bit of a ride, rethinking about that incident we just saw. So yeah, so Yari's going to roll back out. So yeah, so we're going to still have the field all together. And as it always is in racing, they're going to wind up pretty much right together as well on this restart. So yeah, so strategy-wise though, here, Andrew, nobody pitted towards the front. The only one that did was Bill, who was not in that incident. So interested to see about, we talked about the fuel mileage, that 40 to 45 window. Probably, I'll say my bad math said if they can go 45 each run, that makes it a 2-stop race. I think this caution here probably does the magic for that to make him put him in that window to make it on a 2-stopper from here.
You can always predict that on a short field like this, you can go for a long green flag run, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily happen that way. So I wouldn't have pit here either, especially just a couple laps into the race. Even if it did do a fuel strategy situation, it's very, very early to start planning for that now, especially for someone like Craig Forsyth, who you always like to mention on these broadcasts is very great on the fuel save. You got to kind of let the race play out a little bit and see kind of what the tenor and the tone of the race is as time goes on. And right now it's just way too early to predict that there might be more cautions after this or something like that, where you got to put yourself on a strategy where you give up the track position. So yeah, I'm not surprised nobody came down the pits, but let's see if we can get some more green flag laps here. And if maybe 25 laps down the line, there's some random yellow, we might see some more strategy differences.
Yeah, so I'll have to keep an eye and see. Say Bill did top off as well in that one to go, so he will have the most fuel of everybody, of course, with all the fuel maps. Though Andrew, say map 1 through 8. A lot of these guys probably roll on map 8. They're under yellow, just save all the fuel they can. But say now everybody's turning that field map all the way back up to 1, go full rich here, and say now on this restart here, Matt has control here, so he can fire off as early or late as he chooses to. And it looks like a little bit of a later start there, but it looks like a nice clean getaway for all these guys as they're going to head back into turn number 1.
Yeah, better start from Yari that time around. I think he didn't want to make the same mistake the first time around, but unfortunately Casey Puhutsky was a little bit slow. But I think Yari's going to try to over-under him here back for the 7th position.
Yeah, and so now it's all about trying to position your cars. Yeah, Casey had a little bobble there. Yari wasting no time. He's going to jump right underneath. And yeah, so you see Gary now, he's going to try to go after it as well. They're in 32. It looks like can't quite get there. But yeah, right now, again, everybody's still within about that second or so. Everybody's definitely in the draft of each other. So now it's all about trying to find that track position, trying to find that clean air on the front wings of these cars. I mean, we saw a few times where the leader would be able to kind of check out a little bit. Right now, not the case, though. Top 3 really lockstep with each other with Matt, Craig, and Jim here. And so you'll probably see kind of that varying line to try to keep the wing in that clean air. So I'm going to jump over to Jim here on board. That's not on board. That's on board. I'm curious to see also kind of the gearing they use right now. Jim's actually rolling all the way through 6th. I actually thought they might drop it down a couple of gears through the turns. We'll see what it looks like here in turn 1.
Well, this is the optimal situation for someone like Craig Forsyth or Jim Herrick that are sitting right behind Matt. They don't necessarily want to pass him because they know they're going to waste fuel. So this is the beginning of this fuel save situation we mentioned before. It's worth it to try and get the position if you can, but if you can't after the first lap, then just sit there behind and start to put your fuel maps down to maybe a map 3, map 4 if you're very risky. But these guys are definitely on a fuel save right now, and it's always beneficial to try to fuel save just because you might make your stop a little bit shorter in the end. But I could definitely tell by how close these 3 are that it's not a very big fuel save right now from these 3, but it definitely could be as the stint rolls on. So the top 3 are kind of together. Eric Peterson's trying to kind of hang on. He may be in a higher fuel map than we might suspect, but it's all part of the chess game right now.
Yeah, and also, of course, like you were saying for Eric there behind us, so he's still, again, he's just 6/10 off, and as soon as we say that, he runs the fastest lap of the race there, 24:46, so about half a tenth quicker than Matt, Craig, and Jim there in front of him. And again, there's also something to be said about maybe giving yourself a little bit of breathing room in front of you to kind of, again, you're still going to get that dirty air, but it also gives you some time, okay, let me see where Jim goes, and then you got that maybe that extra split second to make a small adjustment to where you want to position your car, if you will. So let's say, again, we're kind of just speculating on the strategies here. If you're Matt Wagner right now, your strategy is basically just to try to run away and hide as best you can, and also maybe try to keep the pace up a little bit to try to make sure that make it hard for Craig to pass you, of course staying in the window to also do the 2-stopper. But yeah, then it's just all about just hoping everything stays clean and green through a pit stop cycle, because also very difficult pit road here. Ooh, looked like Matt got a little loose there in 3 and 4. Craig is going to pounce.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. He might have touched the bottom line. Sometimes it's a little tough to judge the paint versus the curb in turn 3 and 4. And oh, you see Matt trying to challenge there. That was very close. So I think, interestingly enough, Matt wants to lead, and even though he knows he's going to burn all the fuel, I was going to say, as you were talking about that situation before, it's always fun to lead because you don't have to pick your line and change your line and do anything else that's kind of strange, but you're also wasting the most fuel. So it's kind of a give and take. Do you want to save the fuel, or do you want to be out there and lead and just choose whatever line you want? When you're sitting in second place, you kind of have to manage your line regardless, because there's always going to be some dirty air. As you see Craig go very high there. That was a great representation of exactly what I was trying to say. You're always every lap trying to fight and make sure that you pick a proper line that's not going to hurt you too much in the corners. And Eric Peterson just kind of comes out of nowhere now from being so far back. He now moves up into 3rd place, and he might even try and challenge Craig here. But yeah, it's definitely it's such a weird position because you want to lead, but you also don't want to waste the fuel. So there's pros and cons to both situations.
Yeah, and I gotta say, we saw Craig. He got underneath Matt. Matt was able to pretty much throttle up, use that outside momentum to clear Craig. However, Eric was able to run the bottom side and clear Jim Herrick there for the third spot. So, wondering if maybe Eric has, like I say, I feel like I remember Loudon. This is a track where Eric was really strong at. As again, I think he may have found a nice setting that he's looking for, because right now he's kind of showing his nose on Craig, thinking, hey, I might go for this spot one more time. But yeah, Eric's looking very comfortable running that bottom, whereas everybody else now seems to want to run that middle top in 1 and 2.
I've learned my lesson from the last race where I kind of poo-pooed Eric's strategy here, and I think it was a matter of him just playing around with different settings. Maybe he's gathering some lap time data in his head, and he's trying to figure out exactly where he fits in this draft scenario, because you always have to kind of manage all the cars around you as well. You don't want to be too slow for the car behind, but you also don't want to be too fast for the car ahead, or the other way around. So if you don't feel like you're going to fit into a nice train of a fuel-safe situation, and you have to sort of kind of find your own way, and it could either pay off if you just sit off behind them, or if you put yourself in a spot that's way ahead of them. I think Eric's played this perfectly and saved enough fuel now that he might actually try and challenge here and perhaps go for one of these positions up ahead, whereas Jim is just kind of hanging out right now and saying, I'm going to save as much fuel as I can.
Yeah, I think Jim's thinking, you know what, I'm okay with fourth instead of third. Because yeah, as we're about to mention too, very difficult pit road entry, of course, having to use that access road coming into 3. So I mean, you overdrive that, you're going to be washing out into the grass and then possibly into traffic as well. And then also the pit road exit, it is extremely flat. I mean, you pretty much you barely look at the throttle wrong, and it's going to want to light up the tires and spin out on you. I think that's actually one, if I remember right from myself racing here years ago, I want to say I even kept the car in map 5 for pit exit, just to try to limit the power to the car, and then go to map 1 once I got to the backstretch. So I remember this was probably one of the more treacherous pit exits as well.
Oh man, that map 5 on a pit exit sounds like a nightmare, Gael. You made chills go up my spine there. You don't want to go too severe on the map there, but I get what you mean. It's definitely, when you say extremely flat, you're making it sound like it's like an airplane runway, sort of flat. And you might be right. It might be so flat that it's smooth and nice on the inside there. But you also have to realize that when you're doing these green flag pit stops, you're trying your best to try and beat other cars out of the pit. So you're always trying to push that little extra bit, and sometimes it's a little thrilling to try and get that extra speed out of there. And when you realize, oh no, I actually can kind of get out of here kind of fast, that even if you lose a spot, you feel like you accomplished something. So there's something to be said about that as well.
Oh yeah, no, there's always that risk first reward for sure. So, but yeah, like you were talking about though, while these guys were fighting, we saw Eric obviously climb up there, and now you got Jeff Heisung, Edson Santos. They crawled right back into this fight as well. So you've got the top 6 here all together, all within about a second and a half or so from first to 6th. So I'm saying again, we talk about strategy. I said, unfortunately, it's been a little while since we've seen Edson, but I mean, from the races that I do remember recently with him, I feel like he was one of those guys that seemed to be really good on the long runs, where it seemed like he could keep those tires underneath him. So this could be one of those tracks that comes into play for that. As you see there, Jeff Heisung taking just a little look underneath Jim Herrick. Wasn't able to do anything with it as of yet. And then right now, also looking at lap times, Gary Laverne's actually starting to work his way back up there too. He was actually running an identical lap as Matt Wagner, our leader, a couple tenths quicker than the other guys in front. And then Jari Brupacher was actually another tenth quicker in 8th. So right now, these top 8, I think, are all about to find their way right back together. But so I go back up front here, because I think Craig's working on trying to make another charge here on that 6 car.
Actually, the last lap, I'm checking right now. It seems that the lead is actually kind of starting to slow down a little bit. And you're right, Gary Lovern, Jari, and Edson all were faster than Matt Wagner last lap. So I don't know if Matt Wagner is trying to save his fuel up front and just kind of back the field up a little bit, which would make for a great situation for the top 8 here. But I was starting to notice Eric Peterson dropping back a little bit again, and I'm I'm starting to get a newfound respect for what Peterson's doing, and I think he's still continuously trying to play with these fuel maps and trying to figure out a situation where he has saved just enough fuel to take the lead, and perhaps he could run a map 1 and try and outrun these guys if he manages to save his tires. It's a good strategy.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see. And then, of course, yeah, if he starts seeing Jim Herrick put a lot of pressure on, we might see him kind of crank that wick up a little bit, which right now, speaking of, Jim Herrick is all over the rear wing there of Eric Peterson. Also, of course, got to mention we're a little over halfway through the fuel run. We're going to cross to start lap number 30 this time. Again, remember we talked about 40, 45 laps probably being the rough fuel window. 45, of course, being the magic number if they could run that on each stint to make it on a 2-stop one, as Jim Herrick may have just kissed the wall there with the right side. I think he's going to get away with it, but I say that's that aero wash we've been kind of talking about.
It does not look like Jim wants to pass Eric, but you can see that Jeff Haisong is definitely getting a little antsy behind them, especially he's caught them. He tried to make a move on Jim Herrick a few laps ago, and he couldn't complete it. And again, on these tires, it's getting harder and harder to pass on the bottom. So if you really make a dive on the bottom, you have to make sure that you're not going to push up on exit. And unfortunately, as these tires wear on, it's very, very hard to make a pass. So I think Jeff wants to go more towards the front, and I'm almost positive Edson also does, because as you mentioned, he likes to save his tires. And I agree with you from previous races we've been in with Edson. He's definitely one of those guys who just kind of buys his time and then kind of pounces at the last second. So I'm wondering if Jeff and Edson both want to dispose of these guys and get towards the front for the first pit stop.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to keep an eye. And then, of course, once we get to that pit window, we get to do that whole overcut versus undercut strategy where do you pit early and maybe be able to take advantage of your new tires right off the bat, or are you able to go a little longer on the hot tires? And because right now lap times, I don't see much fall off. So I think, like you said, it's just going to be all about your in and out laps. It'll probably make the biggest difference. I can tell you, Gary's found his way to these guys. He's easily within a second now. Yari, again, he's tagging along as well. So a little further back, Casey Putski, Bill Colley, they're rolling a little further back than they probably either would want to. But again, Bill's one of those guys that he topped off as well, so he's going to be able to go significantly further, I feel like, than some of the other guys. And also, if he's just kind of cruising behind Casey, also a good chance for Bill where maybe he's just going full fuel save and just, again, stretch it long, maybe get a timely caution. I mean, I'm not sure about this track if you go pretty much a guaranteed lap down or not under green. I would think you do, but
you do. Yes,
so
you do.
Yeah, so that'll definitely put a potential advantage for those that can go the furthest.
It's not a bad strategy for sitting at the bottom of the top 10 either, or potentially the back of the field for all intents and purposes. But if you're not going to be able to pass 7, 8, 9 cars up ahead of you, why not just go for a full fuel save and hope that there's some pit in or pit out caution, where if everybody pits, you're suddenly finding yourself at the front of the field. You get all your free track position and you don't even have to do anything. So that might be, I actually kind of like this strategy, even though I'm not sure if Casey or Bill may have the same pace as the guys up ahead. Maybe they're just trying their best to save as much fuel as they can and fall all the way back and do some sort of weird strategy like that suddenly finds them at the front again. But yeah, it's definitely turning into a situation now where no one really can pass. I'm watching a couple cars get close. I'm not really sure if Jim is just letting Eric get ahead or if he really can pass, because the top two have just completely pulled away. Whatever strategy Peterson's pulling right now is not really helping so much in terms of keeping close to the leaders. So I wonder how much longer Jim is going to sit here behind Eric before he finally says, "Hey man, we got to get our way forward here. We're losing so much time."
Yeah, and of course we talk about that magic window of draft. Usually it's about that 1.5 second margin, which it's grown to about almost 1.6 right now. And yeah, I mean, you can see right here, he gets right to him and then it kind of just staggers. And then right now you see right there, pretty much having to run the identical line, so that slows him up a little bit. But a great exit actually. We'll see. I'm trying to see if he's going to take a look. Yeah, here he goes. He's going to go to peek on the inside. And it looks like he's going to go ahead and just clear Peterson. Peterson's going to maybe try to cross over here. So it might just be in this situation here where maybe Matt and Craig have just kind of found a little bit something, able to keep a little bit more in their tires and try to run away a little bit. But that's really tightened up this group here now from Peterson, Haisong, Santos. They are all right together. Gary Laverne, Yari Brubacher, they're now right in this thick of this too. So pretty much third to eighth here, just throw them under a blanket.
Yeah, I could tell that Edson's trying to make his way forward as well. He tried Jeff Heisong in turn one there. He tries the high line there, and he might have a little bit of momentum going down the straightaway, but it's just very, very, very hard to get it past on, especially. Oh, actually, it looks like he had a lot more speed than we thought, and Edson's going to go for P5 here.
Yeah, I like what I saw there. It was like you said, he entered really high, but then he was able to arc it down and get a great exit, and that got him pretty much all the momentum he needed to try to swing around Jeff there. And so, again, now he's going to try to just run his normal line probably for lap 2. If he gets up to Peterson, I think we see the same thing. I think he enters really high, and then he does that big arc down to the bottom. Right now, I'd say he's one of the few I've seen make that move, and it looked really, really good. So I'm going to be definitely keeping a closer eye on him this next time around once he gets up to that rear wing of Eric Peterson.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see some cars pitting here in the next 5 or so laps. We're getting to that 45 lap region there.
Yeah, I think I just saw Jim Herrick catch the wall there out of 2. Again, that one definitely looked a little harder than the earlier one, so we'll keep an eye. But I'm going to be focusing here on Edson. I'm actually going to hop on back on board with him. And yeah, I think Jim definitely hit it because you can see now he's lost a ton of momentum. And let's say, so you see though, he ran the top side, which is where Edson wanted to run. And there's the momentum shift right there where he just couldn't get the exit he had been hoping for. But yeah, you're exactly right though, Andrew. That pit window should be opening very soon. Again, though, I think all these drivers are going to want to go as far as they can just to try to see if they can make that last pit stop as short as possible.
Jim is definitely in trouble. These are very, very close cars right now. It looks like he might be struggling with some side pod damage. He'll probably take a fast repair right here. There's no need to hold on to it for later in the race. I think he's slowing the field down. Edson's going for a run there, and I believe Matt is coming into the pits.
Yeah, Matt Wagner on pit road, and that's coming to 45. And that's with a caution, so that's not the most reassuring, honestly, to me. So now that gives Craig a nice margin to all these guys behind him. So he's got about 2.7 and growing over Jim Herrick. We had mentioned, obviously, we saw him catch the wall there out of turn 2. But yeah, so Matt's going to be the first to blink here. He's got to be on pit road because he's the one that had been leading that whole time. And then, yeah, like you said, for the pit stops, here's Craig. There's Matt. Hasn't even left his pit stall yet. I say still up there. Now he's down and should roll off. And a lot of fuel going to that car. 10 seconds on the stop. It's a lot longer. And Craig, actually, there's your question mark about tires and fuel. Craig ran the fastest lap of the race last time by. And this looks like who's coming in right now?
Eric Peterson and Heisong are coming in.
So yeah, they made it to 48. Great job by those guys getting it woed down. So now you got kind of 2 packs of 2. You have Jim Herrick, Edson Santos, Gary Laverne, Yari Brubacher.
Jim Herrick's coming down now, and Craig as well from the lead is coming in. So we'll have to watch this for the Matt Wagner merge.
And so you can see the cone right there. That's where they got to get down to speed. Jim Herrick's gonna hustle that thing down. I think he made it there as well. So we'll keep an eye, of course, to see where everybody is going to cycle through right now. Edson, though, so I mean, saving fuel with Edson, despite how quick he was going. I see Gary Laverne, he's kind of dropping left, I think, telling Yari, hey, I'm pitting. And sure enough, there he goes. So that's going to now put Edson and Yari 1-2. Looking at pit stop times, about 9.5 seconds for Eric Peterson and Jeff Heisong. Craig and Jim Herrick still getting service done to their cars. 8.9 for Craig Forsyth, so almost a full second quicker than Matt. Oh, that was an aggressive entry by Edson there. I was watching him closely. Yari is in as well. So that's going to leave, I believe, Casey Bahutsky also did pit. So that's going to leave Gary Laverne here. Or sorry, Bill Colley, I apologize. Bill Colley's going to be the last of those to pit. And right now, again, he will be net leader of this race. Again, we'll see how far he can go. And the other nice part, too, Andrew, is he's right behind Matt Wagner. So he's getting draft again here. He can bump that fuel map down a little more, run even a little bit longer here. But yeah, I can tell you through the pit stop cycle, Craig has really cleared Matt Wagner after that pit stop cycle.
I was wondering if Casey would maybe do a little bit longer pit stop because of what we were mentioning before, how they were falling so far back. But it looks like Casey couldn't really save as much fuel as we thought, and Bill still seems to be able to, even though he pit a couple laps
Oh, got
later.
one
But
facing the wrong way. That was Edson Santos. That was that pit exit. Caution is out. Hey, remember that strategy call about running along? Oh, man. We'll
it's
see.
almost like it happened to me.
But Bill's on pit road here. I don't think he could go any further. So he's, I say, unfortunately, his good luck's going to be a little bit of bad luck. 'Cause he's going to wind up being the end of the longest line for pitting with a closed pits, which is going to, this is going to be interesting to see how, where it's going to score everybody. Because again, Bill is net leader. So I'm curious to see for Yari on back, are they still trapped behind the pace car? Or do they get to go now? So this will be really interesting on that side of things. But what I can tell you is Matt Wagner, Craig Forsyth, they were ahead of Bill. They are on the tail end of the lead lap. But let's go back and see what happened to Edson here. So I think it was just unfortunate that pit exit there caught him. So I'll say we'll jump back to that pit exit. We'll pick up the speed. And we'll see us. Again, I think we're just going to see this thing break loose as he builds speed up.
Seems like he got most of the way around before he went, oh, okay, there we go. We got a little too much rear slide there, and he had a quick opportunity to catch it there, but once that back end starts coming around, it's hopeless. But luckily, he did not come out into traffic because Matt Wagner is right there, and I'm sure Matt Wagner was saying, please just stay down there. And yeah, unfortunately, Edson just backs right back up into the grass again and couldn't really save it.
Yeah, big hit in the rear too there.
So that's going to be a fast repair for sure.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure. Maybe it'd be enough where he could get the. I know you can also replace the rear wing on these cars, but so no, it does look like for the caution situation, Yari Brubacher did get the wave around there, so he's going to get back on the lead lap this way. Gary Laverne on back. These guys are all going to, I would assume they're going to stay out here and get the wave around on the one to go, which I think is actually going to net Bill Colley. I'll say we'll have to see where he kind of comes out in relation to Yari, who got the wave around, versus all these guys that are going to get the wave arounds as well on the one to go, because I think Bill will probably net out in, I suspect, third or fourth place here, because with Yari getting the lucky dog, if you will, that typically is always the basically the tail end of the lead lap as well. So, like I said,
keep in mind that Bill is probably getting a rear line or end of line penalty.
Yeah, and I say that's the thing is it's almost who's gonna get the furthest back of the end of line penalty, if you will, between himself and Yari Brubacher. I said we know for sure Craig and Matt, they're 1-2. There's no question mark there. Bill could wind up restarting third, or Yari, and then from Gary Laverne and so on, these guys are all gonna basically get the wave around. And I think from there they'll all be stuck behind those guys. So we'll let it sort out. We'll step away, catch a break, and got to show off our wonderful sponsor, 4D Racewear. So we will be right back.
4D Racewear, makers of the ultimate sim racing shoes and custom apparel designed for sim racing by sim racers. 4D racing shoes are engineered to connect racers to the pedals in a way no other racing shoe can, all the while giving you the comfort needed to complete those double and triple stints. Visit 4dracewear.com and check out the latest sim racing products that let you connect to your sim.
All right, saw there all those wave rounds going to swing back by and get back on track. We saw Bill Colley, he hit pit road, but actually, So there's our answer. Bill's like, you know what? I don't really want to be in the thick of this thing yet. I'm gonna let these guys go on by, and then from there I'll get rolling. So you see, there goes the cars. There goes Bill. So he's not ready to kind of let loose what he has. And like you mentioned too, Andrew, say maybe just it doesn't feel like he quite has the pace of some of these guys. So again, I mean, we're only 56 of 135, so still over half the race to go. Get himself more comfortable and everything, and then go from there. So caution flag. Honestly, I think a big break for Matt Wagner in the field, because again, Craig had about a 2 or 3 second gap over him. Now Matt's going to have that draft to keep him in tow, but Craig is quick on the draw there, and look at him. He's going to try to break the draft right off the bat here, try to catch these guys sleeping, and I think did a really good job of it.
Yeah, I'm looking at, we got a safe restart throughout the field. No one's really got any issues. Jeff Hysong was a little bit slow, and he held up a little bit in the back of the field, and he's going to probably lose a spot here to Jim Herrick.
Oh, Edson's loose. Oh, he's going to catch the wall there in the 20 car. Right now he's going to stay stuck up against the wall. Everybody's going to get by. I think we will stay green. But we mentioned that contact he had with the back of his car, most likely a fast repair there. So depending on the damage amount, that might be night over for Edson. Edson was also the only car one down at the time after that yellow happened. So I'll say, unfortunately, he was doing so well early. And here we go again, round 2, Jari Brupacher, Gary Laverne. They cannot get away from each other, apparently.
Yeah, it's very tough to be on the bottom. I think Yari's going to maybe let him have it. Yeah, Yari kind of washed up a little more than he thought, and Gary gets that P3.
And here comes
and
Eric.
Be under fire from Eric, yep.
Yeah, Eric got a really good run there with that little hiccup. And Eric's going to, oh man, he dove it down at 3-0. You saw right there, Gary saw it the last second. He had a little bobble trying to react. Eric is definitely turning that wick up here as he's going to try to get around these guys, get back up to Matt and Craig, because they have already set sail 2 seconds over that third position. Actually, 2.3 now.
That was probably partially disrupted by Edson's spin there, since Edson was that third car in line.
Oh, you're right. Good call.
Unfortunately, those cars had to kind of check up a little bit, make sure they weren't caught up in it. But yeah, the top 2 cars are now completely gone, and now all the rest of the guys are here trying to pick up the scraps. So we got very competitive drivers here from P3 to P7 or so. They're all going for the same podium spot here, and I would imagine someone like Jim Herrick is just going to sit here and say, okay, it's time to save some fuel, let these guys drag me up to them. That would be my situation, but I think Jim's going to try and go for a move here.
Yeah, so he is all over the back there of Jari Brupacher. And right now, look at him try to rim right it. I said, again, we talked about the contact he had earlier in the race too, so may have had to burn that fast repair. But I say we talked about that pack racing that we had seen earlier at Milwaukee Mile. I say we've got it one more time here, this time at Gateway with these 4. Like I said, Matt and Craig, I say they still have a good fight going. They're only half a second apart from one another. A few laps ago, Matt ran the fastest lap of the race, and I mean, it was a 24:21. For reference, Craig's fastest lap of the race was a 24:45. So one of those laps, Matt went way quicker than those guys by 0.2. I say there goes Peterson. Now the crossover by Gary, though. These guys are going to be fighting hard for this third spot, it looks like.
Well, one thing you can make sure of with the fast laps of the race is that these guys are done fuel saving. They're going for it now. So perhaps the fuel number's been hit and it's time to go racing.
That is a really good point, as there goes Jim. Jim's trying to go almost bottom 3 there. These guys are very racy. I say right now Jeff Hysong's actually got the best view of it all from these guys. So we'll hop on board with him and watch what he's able to see, because right now, again, everybody's just trying to find where they need to position their cars here.
I did mention that this P3 to P7 run was going to be pretty wild, and it's lived up to it for now. And Eric's going to try and lead the charge and try and catch the 2 guys up ahead. I think Gary's going to just try and stay in the fight here, maybe not lose too much time, and maybe do a mounting charge later on in the stint.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the lap times look like once they kind of settle in a little bit. Ooh, 2 cars there bobbled. I think Gary and Jim Herrick both had a little bobble there out of 2. Again, just showing how hard these guys are pushing. Matt Wagner, though, I was going to jump up front real quick because he has gotten right to that rear wing of Craig one more time here. So saying, look at Matt. He's pretty much rim riding that thing through 1 and 2. just again trying to run top, but also trying to run that clean air. And actually, what I'm going to do is we'll look. If you look at the timing and scoring on the left, we've changed it from intervals to lap times. So you can see there, Craig ran a 24:54, Matt a 45. Peterson was a couple tenths slower with a 73. So I'll say, but this way, lap by lap for a little bit, we'll kind of keep an eye on what those lap times are looking like. But right now, it seems like Craig's still kind of able to stretch a tenth or two a lap. Although last time by, it looks like it was Jeff Heisong quickest car on track.
It just shows that these guys are doing an accordion effect. They're kind of coming together a little bit, especially if Jeff is the fastest car in this pack here. Eric needs to pick up the pace a little bit if he wants to try and keep up with the top two up ahead of him.
And then, yeah, like you mentioned, I'm curious about the fuel mileage, truth be told, because those guys that pit, I mean, yes, it was under yellow for some of them, but I mean, Matt pitted on 45. So again, that was on the number, but that was with a couple caution laps. So maybe those caution laps were enough to get him to be able to make it to lap 90. Because again, that's going to be, that's the magic number to try to go 45 to the end of the race. So yeah, I'm very interested to see on that side right now of those that are in this main pack here. Jari Brubacher by far the best on fuel, with him getting the lucky dog wave around versus the natural wave around, if you will. He pitted at 54, so he's got at least about 5 laps more fuel than Craig, than Gary, and then almost 10 laps more than Matt Wagner. So Jari actually can probably be a little more aggressive on fuel. And honestly, if I'm Jari, though, maybe just save fuel a bunch right now. And then once these guys, they're going to have to duck off before you if you can't find a way around them. We saw Craig go purple as soon as Matt pitted. And then that's, I think, when Jari can just basically crank it to 11 and just go full send for those couple laps, maybe try to do that overcut.
I'm noticing Matt does not want to sit behind Craig. He's trying to find any way by him. I think Matt's more comfortable out front. He likes to clean air a lot more, no matter what the fuel situation is. He's mounting a charge on Craig here. You can see he tried to get high last lap. This lap, he might try and run a little bit lower. Trying anything he can to get that spot, and he might have a run here on Craig going into turn 3.
Yeah, it seems like 3 is where he wanted to make the move, because he had the inside in 1. He rolled out of it, and yeah, he easily clears Craig that time by. So Matt's going to take the point one more time here. And again, I mean, if Craig can do that same pit entry exit like he did last time, I mean, he's probably thinking, you know what, I'm okay with what I'm doing, because to say, again, this will now let Craig do a little extra fuel saving. So yeah, so it'll be really interesting to see kind of how that all goes. And again, you see these two, and then you saw just in the background this big fight still going on with these 5 drivers. So, and Gary's definitely not letting up either. It looks like he's going to try to maybe make a move here down the front.
I think Eric is trying to play around with different lines right now to see what kind of works, and whatever line he finds will be the fastest will be the one he sticks with. And Gary's got to try and find a way to get a run on him. I think Eric is still trying to play around with some stuff right now, but I believe he might have found it on the last lap, because I believe he was matching the leader's times on the last time by. So Gary might be a little bit impatient right now, but he's kind of just trusts that Eric knows what he's doing, and he's going to find the best way around the track. And as long as he's towing Gary around, they might try and chip away at that lead a little bit.
Yeah, it's all right there. Jeff Heisong just got around Jim Herrick. That'll put Jeff now up into 6th. But again, though, right now, I mean, these guys are all so close to each other. Again, if we stay green, I think all that's going to happen here is we're just going to see, again, who can get in and out of pit road the best. But, I mean, again, these 3 right up front, though. Oh, man, look at Gary. Took a little lunge, it looked like, entering 1. Couldn't quite get it. I don't know. I think Gary's feeling like he might have the pace to try to go a little quicker than Eric is. That's kind of the impression I'm seeing on my side.
I'm seeing the same thing, and it seems like there's not much room to give on the inside line, especially as these tires start to wear. So Gary might have to try and get creative, kind of like what Edson was doing in the first stint there, riding high in turn 1 and 2 and trying to get that exit that gives the run down to turn 3, and it'll be his.
And I can confirm Edson, unfortunately, has retired from the event, so unfortunately he will still be a top 10, not obviously the way he wants it to. But yeah, here goes Gary, though, again, right to him. But I don't know, it looks like the same thing. I think these guys do not want to try to go down low in turn 1 to try to make this pass happen. So, yeah, like, I think the same thing. I mean, what I saw from Edson there in the booth earlier, that move from top to bottom in 1 and 2, I mean, that gave him a monster run down the backstretch. So I'll say again, those that maybe saw it can take note of it, but unfortunately, I mean, if they weren't close enough to see that move happen, then they won't. It's one of those things like they won't know what he was able to do. So right now, these guys still stay locked onto each other. It's now actually kind of grown a tiny bit. You can see everybody's got about 3-4 tenths off each other now. Again, nothing massive, but right now, actually, it's Jeff Heisong getting the closest up to Yari, and then actually Matt Wagner, Craig Forsyth, Craig is right back after him here.
I wonder what Gary's thinking right now, because he's probably saying, come on, I know I can run a little bit faster if you just let me by, but unfortunately, when you try to make that pass in turn 1, you have to give up so much on the entry just to have the good exit speed, and it's such a hard thing to commit to, which is why Edson was able to pull it off when he could pull it off. And I don't know if Gary has enough juice in the rear tires in order to kind of give it all up on the entry to make the exit. And it seems like right now he's just kind of hanging out behind Eric, even though Eric is running slower laps. But
yeah, it seems like he's settled in a bit. Yeah. And it may be not even a settled in thing. It's like I said, the tires might just be kind of like, okay, that's all we got kind of a situation. Because it means it might not even be a wear thing. It might be a temperature situation too. But Craig is, like I said, Craig is doing what we kind of saw Edson doing. We're running a different line. We didn't see him do that big over under, but I think what Craig's doing right here, he's just really just trying to keep the clean air on the front wing of that car. And again, I think he's maybe feeling pretty confident, saw how good he was able to get out in front of Matt during that green flag pit stop. So he's thinking, all right, I know Matt's going to have to pit before me again. He's been leading again. Let's go ahead and do that big overcut where I just run as hard as I can until I got a pit, see if I can jump him another time.
I wonder what the pit stop situation is going to be, because we're coming within about 10 laps or so of the laps we need to make it. And like you mentioned before, it seemed like 40 was the lap count in order to try and make it on full burn here. And if Matt, for example, pitted on lap 45, if he makes it to lap 85, 86, I think we might be considering one more splash and go before the end. But if they make it to about 90, 91, then I think we're able to make a 45 here. But with the way these guys have been racing, it definitely seems like there's no fuel save going on right now. It's just full blast, trying to get as best track position as they can, as we see Gary and Eric continuing to battle on here. And yeah, I wonder if they're going to make it to lap 90 or so.
So yeah, in my mind, I think my magic number is probably 95. I think I want to go a little longer just to make sure that there's absolutely no fuel save. Of course, if there's yellow, then it'll feel like you kind of shot yourself in the foot, depending on if you have too much fuel at the end. But yeah, in my mind, I always try to go where it's basically max send map 1 all the way through. That's when I want to be able to pit. So yeah, but I mean, we are about 4 this time, probably 3 laps until they get to 45 to go. And again, I do feel like based on when these drivers pit, I think Matt should likely be the first one in one more time, because he was 45, Craig 48, Peterson 47, Gary is 49, Heisong 47, Jim Herrick lap 48. But again, Yari Brubacher, that's the one I'm really gonna keep an eye on. He went all the way to lap 54, and as I say that, he's now trying to cross over and go after Gary. I think again, probably Gary got a little held up trying to fight with Eric Peterson. Actually, Jim Herrickson. This seems early to me. It's 47 to go. I don't feel super comfortable with that number.
Well, he was stuck in the back of that 5-car train, so it's quite possible that he might be just doing something a little bit different, because he might not be able to pass the cars ahead. If he finds a nice bit of traffic to come out in later on, and he jumps a few cars, finds himself on the podium, it's quite possible he could find himself in a spot where he gets a podium spot here.
Yeah, that's true. Is like you said, yeah, you're just kind of trapped there. It's like, all right, let me do something different. And again, maybe even if you just need to save a little bit of fuel, but I can tell you, yeah, he's going to come out in a nice pocket here. I think he should easily come out still in front of Matt and Craig. So yeah, so I'm keeping an eye on to them. I'm going to go back here because Craig's actually taking a look here as they go into one.
Actually, just watched Jeff Heisong get by Yari Brubacher. I think Jeff might be the one car that is a little bit of a dark horse here, because he sat in the back of that train there, and he might have enough fuel to make it to lap 95 or beyond in such a way that if he pits later, then he'll have enough juice to go the full distance on full fuel mix and everything like that. So watch for Jeff Heisong to be one of the last cars to pit here, I think.
Man, what a fight between Craig and Matt there. These guys are going after it. And yeah, I mean, I'm feeling better and better now, like you said, because now we're coming around here. We're about to start lap 93, which will be 43 laps to go. And yeah, of course, every lap you go, the better it's going to be. And let's say Jim Herrick is back out on track. Like I said, right now he is 1 down. He didn't go to 2 down. However, lap times again, he ran a 25.78. The guys behind, or sorry, the guys that he was in that group with, Peterson was a 24.69. So he was a lot slower. Here comes Matt though.
Yep, and Eric Peterson, I believe, is pitting behind him. So we're going to start this pit stop rotation here. And I think if you make it to lap 95, like you mentioned, this might be the ticket to make it to the end of the race. So I think these guys are planning to not pit one more time.
That
Jim
looked
Herrick
a
is
little
a question
hot for
mark.
Peterson.
Yeah, that was, I think he misjudged where those cones were, but I think he did all right to get down just on time. We'll have to see as he takes pit stop here.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on how long that pit stop is. So again, Matt's pit stop last time was about 10 seconds. Craig was over a second quicker at 8.9. So that's the other thing I'm going to keep an eye on to see. But right now, he's still going 9.5, so a little quicker, 9.4 for Peterson. So yeah, so he got down to speed and time there. So really aggressive entry for Eric Peterson, but paid off. So great job by him. I think I see Jeff Heisong. Yep, here he comes. He's going to duck on in. Craig Forsythe's in.
Yep.
Looked like
Great pit
another
entry by
really good.
Forsythe.
Yeah, so they looked really clean.
It'll be the big question here if he beats Matt Wagner out. But yeah, Jeff Heisong, the last car to pit as we expected, along with actually it looks like Gary Brubacher might have stayed out the longest right now.
We've still
as
got
he
a couple
takes
more. Yeah, we've got Gary Laverne. Gary's done a really good job on fuel in that 32 car because he's still going. He's going to come around this time to bring it to 39 to go. So again, Gary pitted at 49, so he's done a really good job with his fuel numbers. Craig's down and away 9.08 seconds. So again, almost half a second quicker than Matt just stopped on pit road. Looks like here comes Gary. He's going to hit pit road now. Casey Bahutsky's on pit road as well. Bill Colley's on. So here goes Yari now. Again, I'm curious how much further can Yari go. And again, if he can run some big lap times right now, because some of those guys, again, it seems like as they build up speed, they've been running in the 25-second bracket. Yari ran a 24.64, so this is where I think he needs to try to make his time. Oh, he got one spinning. That was Casey Pahutsky, still staying green for the moment. And there it is. Caution is out one more time here. Yari Brubacher is going to have this field a lap down.
It seems that he's got to pit soon, though. I mean, he was probably one of those guys that topped off right at the end of the yellow flag last time, so he was able to run longer because of that, but it's uncertain if he's going to actually be able to keep going. But the pace car is out now. And
I think he's going to be okay. Yeah, I think he's going to be all right here with that. So again, he was that driver that got that lucky dog on the previous yellow. He pitted and had a little bit more fuel, did some fuel saving as well. So really, really good job by him. Gary Laverne as well is going to, we'll see where it's all cycling out, because again, Gary was in the pits at the time of the yellow, but I think this time it's going to be Craig that gets the lucky dog wave around. But I think based on this, though, Yari's going to come out as the leader here.
It's definitely one of those situations where sometimes when you top off at the end of a caution period, sometimes it gives you a couple extra laps in such a way that it pays off for you. And Yari is the benefactor of that for sure. And he's looking the best driver to take advantage of some extra spots here that he may not have ordinarily found.
And so you see Craig there. Yeah, so Craig's going to get the wave around. He will swing back on around. I don't think we'll see, well, maybe we do see Craig back on pit road here. Maybe no fuel, but maybe he can throw some fresh tires on this thing, have just slightly better tires again. But he did pit at 95, and we're only at 100, so it's what, 5 laps, probably about 2 or 3 of those under green. So we'll have to wait and see. Although I think we would have seen Craig pit that time around if that was the case. So it looks like, again, so Yari's going to be our leader. I'll say there's no question mark there. Craig got the wave around. He is going to be in the second position. And then from third all the way back to eighth are all going to take wave rounds to get back onto the lead lap. Casey Bahutsky, unfortunately, again, he was the yellow that came out there. He's going to be 2 down, so I think he'll wave around to go back to 1 lap down, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, it looks like Craig's actually going to stay out here. He's going to go ahead and keep that. Not worry about the tires here.
I'm wondering, is Gary Lovern no, he'll get the wave around. You're right. I was thinking that because Yari pit and Gary wasn't lapped by him, that he would actually be the wave around or the leader right now. But you're right. I think Yari is going to be the leader, and all the rest of the cars get waved around behind him.
Yeah, it's crazy change right now of everything. So I said, we'll let these guys settle. We still haven't got the one to go, so we'll do a quick step away, show off another sponsor with Whiplash SimCams, and we'll be right back. All right, lights are off the pace car. You see the field all flying by there to get their laps back. And it will be, like we said, Yari Brewpacker will be our new leader. Craig Forsyth in second. And then Gary Lavern's going to be the first of those after the pit stops cycles, getting the wave around here on the 1 to go. And also, he's other than Yari, he's got the best tires here because he literally rolled out of pit road as the caution happened. So he's got brand new tires. I say right now he's just probably building some heat on them, if anything, because all these guys hustling to get back up to Yari for this restart here. So, Andrew, we're going to restart with 33 to go. This is Yari's first opportunity to be at the front of the field. So now he's got to relearn this thing. He's got to figure out, okay, what's this thing going to do in clean air? Which, I mean, he did have some laps of it, obviously, after the pit stops started happening in front of him. So let's see what can Craig do anything with Yari, or is Yari going to be able to maybe make some strategy here, work out for a win?
Well, do we confirm, did Craig pit or not?
He did not.
Tires?
No, he did not pit under yellow, so he's got just slightly older tires.
So we're back to green now. I think Yari has the freshest tires, and he's P1 right now, and couldn't have worked out any better in this situation. So let's see what he does in turn 1. I think he has a little bit of a tight moment there, and I think Craig's going to have to run.
Yeah, Yari just didn't have the restart he wanted. Craig wasting no time, said, I got to get it as quick as I can. He's going to grab the top spot. Now he gets a little tight there. Yari had a chance for the crossover. He got the dirty air. Here comes Gary Laverne.
That's definitely that cold tire situation when you come fresh out of the pits. Sometimes it's hard to hold on to what you have when you're comparing to guys that have gone through a heat cycle on the tires already. And Craig played that perfectly. And unfortunately, I think this has caused a little bit of chaos behind. I think Matt's going to go for the P3 here on Gary Laverne. But Gary holds on to the outside, touches the wall a tiny bit, but he has the outside line here, so I think he's going to hold on to it.
Yeah, now I just got to see. Hopefully that car's not too hard and immediate. Oh, Eric Peterson hard into the wall. Not sure if he had contact or not, but that car's still pointing in the right direction. But unfortunately, there it is. Caution is out. Let's see what happened to Peterson here. So it looked like it was right at the entry of turn 1. And so he's got Jim Herrick to his inside. And so we saw an earlier incident at the entry of turn 1. Is this guy's going for the same real estate? Oh, netcode.
Yeah, very unfortunate there. It looks like Eric was trying to turn in at the normal line, and unfortunately Jim was there on the inside. Yeah, a little bit of an internet connection glitch there as well.
Yeah, it I mean, I'll say yeah, they were really tight. It was probably about a tire's width at least apart between them. But yeah, but like I said though, in some of those situations, you have to just be a little extra careful. So yeah, so that's gonna bring the caution back out. Bad break for Eric is going to turn into, I believe, a good break for this Casey Pahutsky. That's going to put him back onto the lead lap here. And then we have a few drivers wanting to try to do something different here.
Yep.
Jeff Heisong, he's going to jump into pit road. He gets some a little fresher tires. Looks like he's going to be the only one other than Peterson, of course, with his damage. So they're going to hit pit road here. And so now, again, Craig's going to take back over as the control car on this restart. So now let's see, can Yari learn from that previous restart? Maybe try to see if he can make a nice move on Craig here. As not sure why everybody's. I was like, why is everybody cutting to the left? Oh, they're moving over to let Casey Putsky on by. I was really confused there for a second. Yeah, so everybody dropped to the bottom, letting Casey by. Casey back on the lead lap now, and that is going to leave the rest of all the field here that are still in this race on the lead lap. Peterson and Haisong. I say actually, that was a good battle for the two of them out of pit road, and I think Jeff's going to win that race. So even with the damage, got the fast repair in, and I was able to at least grab one spot to kind of maybe a little less salt in the wound after the contact.
Yeah, I will say with the Yari thing, I know this track very well from racing it in the past, and this goes for any track. Once you have brand new tires on, you have no chance to really put any heat into them. The first lap always is very, very tight, no matter what the settings that you put in the car are. So unfortunately, I think that is exactly what Yari went through. He had the fresh, brand new tires on there, whereas Craig and the other cars behind had a lap or two to put some heat into the tires. So Yari probably forgot that and kind of went into turn one knowing exactly what he thought he might have, but he didn't realize that Craig was going to have such a run with a tire that already had the heat cycle in. So it's very hard to hold on to the top spot there, especially if you go in not expecting it to be a certain way. And Yari just needed a lap and a half or so for the tires to warm completely up. So you're right. It could be a whole different situation going in to this restart here, where Craig now has 2 lap older tires, 2 or 3 lap older tires than Yari has. And Yari might have the exact tire temperature set in order to make a run on Craig. So we'll see what this restart holds.
Yeah, and actually something also to mention, Casey Pahutsky, again, he got the wave round. So, I mean, if he chose to, he could have had, like, you know what, I'm just going to go pit, get those fresh tires. But same thing, he's staying out as well. So I'm thinking that it looks like he just says, you know what, I liked it better with a heat cycle on him. However, there is also something I always forget about lately. I believe there is a tire limit in this series now, which I believe I think 3 sets in the pits for 4 total. So based on the cautions, I think they've used 2 of the 3 in the pits. So that also might be cases saying, you know what, I'm going to save a set for just in case a little later on. So just something that I was thinking about as we were talking there. But yeah, so I mean, fuel's out of the question. Honestly, now, like we were talking about too, some of these guys probably have a little extra fuel than they would have liked to have, because again, you love to have these cars as light on fuel as you can to the end of the race. So say when I have some drivers trying to burn a little bit extra under the caution.
Just trying to get every little bit of advantage that they can. But this is going to be quite a sprint here. We got about 25 laps sprint here to the finish. And I think we're going to have a good run to the end here. And I'm excited to see what Yari has up his sleeve for Craig on this restart.
Yeah, and Yari's usually pretty quick on the draw on these restarts, so it'll be fun to see what he can do. And then, yeah, it's going to be a battle, I think, from these guys on here between Matt Wagner and Gary Laverne and company. I think these guys are definitely going to battle hard for this podium position. I mean, we saw how hard Gary and Matt were going right before that yellow popped out. So, and then, of course, like we said, any hiccup in momentum, and these guys are going to be trying to jump after it. So, yeah, so it's going to be a lot of fun to see what these guys have in store here.
We got Bill Colley sitting P6 from all the way in the back, and hopefully he can hang with these guys on the restart and really show what he knows around this track. And we're about to go green.
Yeah, Craig definitely wasted no time once again. Pretty early start there. And so again, he's a control car, so it's up to him. Matt Wagner all over the rear gearbox already of Gary there. Gary is actually pretty tight there as well on Yari. And so you can see Craig again trying to break that draft to just kind of hurt them as much as he can. Here goes Matt inside in 3. Can he hold it, make it stick? He's going to have some dirty air on exit. He's going to hold it for the moment. Gary's going to try to counter back, though. Here comes Yari.
Yeah, I was just going to mention Yari's making that inside run into turn 1. He kind of scared Craig off the apex a little bit, but touches the curb, and Matt's going to have full advantage now.
Huge run for Matt here out of 2 down the backstretch here. And it seems like turn 3 is where you can make the inside work. And so Matt's going to grab that spot here, and it looks like he'll hold onto it. Yari will just hang on to 3rd. Matt's going to try to go 2 for 1 here.
Matt's restarted 4th. He's looking at the lead right now, and that's quite a run, especially when we mentioned his misfortunes before, but he takes the lead.
What a move there by Matt Wagner, able to go from, like you said, 4th to 3rd to 2nd to 1st there in the span of 2 laps, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, Matt's pretty. I'll say he's driving with some aggression right now to try to get back up there. Jim Herrick's throwing himself right into this mix as well. So, yeah, we've got a 5-horse race here for this win.
This is definitely one of those races where you could see that Matt is so focused. He wants to win this race. He's wanted to lead this race. He's not wanted to play the fuel save game, which is something that all these drivers have gotten used to right now. And Jim Herrick goes for P4 on Yari. Yari's got the freshest tires, but somehow he is not able to hold on and fight for these top positions, as we see Craig trying to make the move again for the lead.
Yeah, Matt, I don't know what Matt did to make that inside line work like he did. And they look at that right away, protecting that inside line, trying to break the draft here on Craig. Again, these guys know that it's pretty much they need to try to be in front as much as they can. Matt drifts up just a little bit. Craig's going to jump inside one more time here. We'll see who gets the better run through 1 and 2.
You could definitely tell what kind of race Matt wants to run whenever he's around, because he has these races where he kind of seems a little bit lost, or he kind of seems a little bit frazzled, but these races where he's completely dialed in, you know he wants to win the race. He wants to lead, and we saw that several times during this, so I don't think this is over by any stretch of the imagination.
Nope, I say right there. Craig got him. Mac's going to cross right back over. Gary Laverne's waiting for either of these guys to make a mistake, and he's ready to pounce on this thing, see if he can grab the lead as well in that number 32. Oh, Craig maybe just
Craig
a little
touches the wall. Yep. Wow. Jinx there. Kyle, we're both watching the same thing. You could definitely tell that Matt is sending it, but he's running out of laps to make that bottom line work, because that bottom line is going to go away so fast. It's going to be there, and then it's suddenly not going to be there. And it looks like Matt's a little slow right now, even though Craig's the one that touched the wall. But I think Matt just lost a little bit of momentum, and he's going to try and hang on from Gary Laverne's attack back here in 3rd place.
Yeah, I see Craig really trying to break that draft as well there down the back. Just try to limit any extra draft he can. But yeah, you're right, though. I think as these laps continue to run on, though, like you said, I think that inside line becomes less and less effective as the tires start to wear. You start to lose that extra grip that they were giving you. But yeah, right now you can see Craig running the top side. Matt tried to run even a little higher there. Gary was pretty committed to the middle bottom lane, though, and he got a pretty good run, even running that down on that low side. So yeah, like I said, I mean, these top 5 right now are just under a blanket.
That top side gets tougher and tougher to deal with, especially when I mentioned before, like the Edson Santos effect. You have to really give up a lot on entry to make a lot on exit.
Oh.
Gary, yeah, this is going to happen. I was just going to mention that the accordion effect is real, especially once you start to get in these situations where these cars are all bunched up.
Oh, caution out, Jeff. Oh, Jeff Heisong, big incident. See both of his wheels pointing completely all the way to the left side. His rear wing is gone as well. And I think Eric Peterson involved in this one as well. So caution is out here. 16 to go. They're at the line. Let's go back. Let's take a look at this one here. So I'm not sure where the contact occurred, but you already see Jeff on the inside. Oh, looks like he's trying to make a move on Bill Colley. Does he get loose on entry? Oh, yeah, look at that. Just immediately, and then tries to catch it. Nowhere for Eric Peterson to go. Oh, my goodness, huge hit for Eric as well. Actually flips up and over there.
Can you rewind that actually, Gal? Because it looks like there might have been a semi-net code there in turn 1 between Bill and Jeff. Right.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
A little bit of a puff of smoke appears, and I'm wondering if it started with a little bit of a net code incident, right? Not a puff of smoke, but you can see that Jeff's car kind of.
It almost like it just just pitched. Yeah. Initially, I was thinking too much rear bias, but yeah, I think you're right. And then yeah, again at that point for Peterson, I mean he's just fully committed to the pit road entry. And just there's nothing he can do at that point. So, your full commit, and just unfortunately there's a car in the path there, and yeah, it's unfortunate that's night done for Peterson there. As you saw the rear wing of Jeff Heisong flying down there as well. So unfortunately, early retirement for Eric, as after he had such a good run going. Jeff Heisong, I think, has made it back to pit road. Did he get? It doesn't look like he quite beat the leaders out of pit road. I was trying to see if maybe he was able to stay on the lead lap, but does not look like it. Strategy-wise, I can tell you only one driver pitted. That's Yari Brubacher. He's decided, you know what, I'm going to try something different. I had a set of tires left. And I mean, we did see the tires were starting to kind of maybe show a little bit of wear. So I think, again, he's just like, at this point, let me try something different than the other guys, see if that plays out for him. And then, yeah, I'd say Matt Wagner, Craig Forsyth, all those guys, I think, yeah, they're pretty much committed to what they're going to do here. Now it's, again, because I think the question, Andrew, is it tire wear or is it tire temperature, you think, that might be playing a bigger role in this?
Well, part of it is the geometry of the track, especially when you get to turn one. If there's not a lot of loose feeling in the car, it's very tough to commit down low. You can carry so much speed on the high side of turn one and two, for that matter, that even on fresh tires, you really have to have a complete confidence in your car in order to make the corner. And that kind of goes away a lot, especially once you start to put some temperature into the tires, as you said. I think it might be more of a temperature thing than a wear thing, especially because the back of the car just does not have enough to give the front of the car to dive down to the inside like that. If the car is built in such a way where it's very tight, you really can't do much when you're down there. So that's why you kind of have to set up for turn three. But I think a new set of tires actually might do these guys a bit good, just to give a little bit more juice, a little bit more tire life and rubber to throw the car in there confidently and kind of hold the bottom line.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see. Again, Yari's going to probably need a lap or two to build that temperature up. We talked about those fresh tires, what they did earlier. All these guys that otherwise I say, because he's got about a 20-25 lap advantage on tires now. So we'll see what he can do if he can make a good recovery here. Again, Craig's our leader. Immediately out of 4, he's jumped on it. He is ready to go as we've got 13 to go here at the line.
I still think that Yari has a lot of work to do because this is a track position kind of track where you really can't make a lot of runs unless you're super confident. Yep, Yari kind of washes a little high there. He needs to put a little bit more temperature in those tires, and he loses a spot even to Jeff Heisong.
Yeah, so that's going to be tough as well because now he's going to have to get around to another car to make it happen. Matt and Craig, they're right back at it. Gary's right there with him as well. And I was saying, give it a second. Jim Herrick's going to be right back into this fight as well here. Again, these laps are going to click by very quickly, 24, 25-second laps. Matt took a peek there. He's going to grab some more draft. We'll see if he sends it entering 3.
I don't think he's going to make it there in 3. Actually, it looks like I'm wrong. He actually managed to kind of throw it up the inside. And again, this is the Matt Wagner that we know. This is a race that he wants to win, and he wants to make sure he wins handily. So I think this is going to be a great finish here. We got these guys going about 10 more laps or so, and don't count Jim Herrick out of this thing because he's managed to drive a whole bunch of different lanes tonight in such a way that who knows if he can figure out how to outsmart all 3 of these guys up ahead of him. And I think he's going to have a nice run here to the finish.
He had the fastest lap of the drivers in front of him that lap. He's going to take a look under Gary here entering turn 1, 10 to go. And the last time by, actually, Jim Herrick was the fastest car on track, ran the fastest lap of the race as well, 24-21. To everybody else was in the 40s in front of him. But yeah, like I said, just unfortunately wasn't able to do anything with it as of yet. But again, these guys are going to keep making moves here, try to find that run that they need to have.
I think Matt needs to try and find a way on the outside of Craig in turn 1 because I don't think the bottom line is going to work. As you see, Gary's trying it. I don't think it's going to happen. Very close to the outside wall, both for Matt and Jim.
Yeah, I think Bill may have caught it too.
Yeah, I think Craig is starting to pull away now, but at this point, it's best to just try and mount a challenge for the last couple laps and just inch yourself closer and closer and try and study what Craig is doing up ahead to see what you could do a little bit better than him to get some clean air. And it's going to take probably 3 or 4 laps to figure that out. So I think Matt's going to sit back for now, but don't be surprised if he shows up again at the end of the race.
No, I think there's at least one more charge for Matt. But again, though, the other thing here, though, too, is there are no green-white checkers, though, on the IndyCar Series. You see Jim, he sent it into turn 3. He clears him. He immediately tries to grab that draft to these guys to try to limit Gary Laverne's chances to kind of counterattack there. Move Jim Herrick now up to third there. As I trying to see if he can get back up there with his 40 racer teammate. But again, though, big run here for Gary Laverne. Gary's going to try to take the top side.
Now, if I'm Jim Herrick, I'm saying that was a mistake. I thought I took a nice line through 1, but the exit at 2 was really bad. So I got to try and use that entry, but try and find a different exit. But it's tough to do that when you have Gary sitting there looming in the shadows.
Yeah, here comes Matt. He's making a move. Gary's making a move on Jim. I said we've got good battles here for the win and for the podium here with 6 to go.
I have bad news for Charles T that there's no bounty on the 2 cars up ahead. So $5 stays in Charles T's pocket tonight.
So say what happens if they take each other out? How does that work for Charles D? Did they each get $5?
I think they each get $5 from both Matt and Craig. I'm decreeing that
oh
right now.
Goodness.
Wow, it looks like Craig got a little high there. I think Matt has a run. I think Matt scared Craig off the bottom line of turn 2 there.
All right, I'm not going to make any more jokes about that because that was way too close. Oh, man, these guys are having a good fight here, too. You saw Matt tried to clear him, couldn't quite do it. He jumps back to the bottom line. Same thing for Jim and Gary. They're still going out of here. 4 to go.
It looks like I really do think Matt has this figured out, and it's going to be very, very sad for him if he does not win this race because he has everything in his pocket to win this race, but he just can't clear Craig, and that just illustrates to all the viewers here how hard it is to pass around Gateway, especially once the tires get worn, and we got 3 to go.
Yeah, it's been a couple times. Matt just almost drifts up into Craig. He's trying to get everything he can. Jim Herrick starting to creep back into the mix. This is the best he's done here down the back. This should be where he can really dive it on in here. Can he clear Craig through 3 and 4? Oh, no, not quite yet, I don't think. Oh, he just clears it, but Craig's going to cross over here. 2 to go.
I really am watching Jim Herrick here. He has something. He has found a very specific line here, very close with Matt and Craig.
Yeah, same thing you're saying, Matt. I think Matt got a little nervous about Craig washing up. He tried to give Craig room, maybe caught just a little wall. Again, I don't think it's going to hurt the car too much. Craig washes up out of 4. Matt's going to cut underneath here. Can he make it happen? 1 to go.
Don't count out Jim here. Jim's going to go very high. If I was him, I'd just take the high line and see what happens.
So he's running a little higher. Craig gets a good exit. Matt's going to have to steal some draft here to try to make a charge here through 3 and 4.
I think Matt's going to dive right here in 3.
Oh, Craig covers the bottom. Now it's just can he get a good exit or not? Or
I
Craig,
think it's over. I think Craig's got this win.
Craig is going to win here at Gateway over Matt Wagner, over Jim Herrick. Gary Laverne going to grab 4th. Then Yari Brubacher did recover up into that 5th position there. I see Jim actually found the outside wall. They're very in there too.
I think he tried to touch the outside of Matt's car there, and unfortunately put him in the wall. But it was actually kind of funny. I think Jim's just happy at this point to get any good finish because he's had quite an up and down season. So good job for Jim there, and I really think he had something there. I think if he had just ridden the wall and put a full weight jacker situation going in there, he might have had a nice little run, but he might not have had anything going into turn 3 and 4. But Matt threw it up the inside. It just wasn't enough, and that could have opened the door for Jim to get one more spot.
What a finish. What a fight, though, by Matt and Craig. I mean, again, they were going tooth and nail there, and, man, that was an amazing fight there at the end for the win there. So we'll pull up the results real quick here, and then we'll go ahead and get to those interviews and see Craig Forsyth getting the win over Matt Wagner, Jim Herrick getting that podium spot in 3rd, then Gary Laverne, Yari Brubacher are top 5. Like I said, unfortunately, I think Yari just, again, had that little bobble on the restart, lost some time, and didn't have a chance to really recover like he would have hoped to. Casey Pohutsky and Bill Colligan finish up our lead lap finishers. And we mentioned Jeff Highsong, unfortunate contact. He got trapped a lap down. And then, unfortunately, early retirements for damage due to, for Eric Peterson and Edson Santos. So those were our 10 drivers tonight. But we got to talk to our top 3 drivers this evening. So we're going to kick it off with a 40 Raceway brand person. That's going to be a Mr. Jim Herrick. All right, let's get everything loaded up, and we're going to grab this Jim Herrick fellow. Finishes in 3rd, right where he started. Jim, I'll say we were watching. Andrew and I were thinking, it's like, man, he's right there in the right spot. I'll say, and I'll let Andrew kind of talk about his theories of what maybe could have, should have done, if you will. But I mean, you and Gary are going tooth and nail there at the end. You're obviously watching to some extent Matt and Craig fight after a tooth and nail. I mean, just how tense. I mean, how death grip were you on the wheel there at those last laps?
Uh, yeah, it was pretty tough. I don't know. I had trouble getting. I'm sorry, man. I got people talking here. Oh, I'm hearing the race broadcast or the race people still in chat. Sorry. Um, yeah, I had trouble with the rev limiter, man. I couldn't seem to get much of a run on people, so it was really hard to get by. Even though I had the car really hooked up, I could really gain a lot of momentum in one and two, and just I don't know. It was a tough race, tough to pass, and I made some mistakes, put myself on the back foot, and had to come back a little bit. And I feel bad for hitting Eric there going into one. I just got a little greedy going down low, and honestly, I didn't even think I was going to get the position. I was expecting him to drive past me. I just couldn't get it slowed down enough. So uh, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough race though.
Yeah, Jim, I saw you hit the turn two wall there, maybe mid race or so. So how hard was it to try and find an outside line through turn one and two with the setup you guys had tonight? Did you find that you were playing around with different entries and maybe some mid corner speed to try and figure out the best exit, and maybe that was just a little bit too much acceleration to get out of the corner, or do you think that you guys were just kind of playing it safe to make sure that you didn't actually have any sort of issue on the exit of two? Because we didn't really see too many exit two issues that we usually see at a track like this. And I'm wondering if that was something that you were trying to be careful with after your incident there.
Well, I basically just made a mistake. I didn't keep up with the weight jacker. If you had the tools set right, the car really turned really well. You had to make a little bit of an adjustment for three and four compared to one and two, but um, really, if you were set up right, it wasn't an issue. But the tires did wear a little bit, and towards the end of the run, you had to give it a little more front weight jacker to get through one and two. And I think I just missed. I didn't make that adjustment early enough, and a couple laps I pushed out into two more than I wanted to, and did tap the wall there once, but a couple clicks on the weight jacker and we were back in business. I don't think it really did much damage. I don't even think it used up my fast repair.
So on the last lap there, as Gael alluded to before, I was saying when I'm in third place going on to the last lap of this race, I would just want to rim ride that wall all the way around. Just put the most front weight jacker in, as you were trying to say. Enter the corner very, very loose and just try and ride around and see if you can get any sort of momentum to go down to turn three to challenge those two guys ahead of you. And as you saw, Matt tried something right there on the last lap, but he didn't make it there in time and he washed up the track. And I think with just a little bit more momentum, you would have actually probably drag raced him to the line and possibly got one more spot. Did you think that you had everything on the last lap there, or did you feel like you kind of left a little bit on the table?
No, I definitely left a little bit on the table there on the last lap. I didn't really think I had the. I didn't think I was close enough to really make a good run at those guys, and the way they
Well,
were
you also had
fighting.
Gary that was trying to dive on you as well. So maybe doing something like that might have spooked you from actually trying something a little risky just to see if you can get a little bit better run down the back straight.
Yeah, to be honest, I was like all eyes forward the last couple laps. I knew Gary was back there, but I was trying to not pay too much attention to him. But um, yeah, I probably just didn't hit that last lap as good as I could have, and um, I don't know. I was really just more concerned with bringing it home and not blowing a third place. So I was pretty happy to just I guess make sort of a half-hearted effort there on the last lap, and it was going to be hard to get those guys because they were side by side. So I would have had to go down three wide to get a run, and I don't know if it would have happened anyway. But I'm pretty happy with third tonight.
Nah, it was a really good run, and Yeah, I mean it was super exciting with watching all of you guys tonight. I say just fighting for every position there, and yeah, so I mean a hell of a job for you tonight, Jim, and definitely want to give you and that lovely 40 Raceway machine here a chance for any thanks and shout outs for that podium tonight.
Yeah, shout out to 4D Racewear, sponsor, teammate Craig, who's here tonight, and yeah, to Matt and for doing all the hard work he does with setups and putting on the league, and you guys for doing the broadcasts, and hopefully we'll pick up some more drivers here for the next season. I know the fields have been a little bit light, but uh, it's a really fun league. I really enjoy racing here. So if anybody's watching, if you like racing the IndyCar, keep an eye out for Area 51 and come out and race with us.
Great job tonight, though, Jim. I say it was a lot of fun watching you go after it, and say looking forward to it. And say I know you got a lot of stuff on the back end you're working on, so definitely looking forward to when you're able to unveil those as well. So yeah, appreciate you coming out though tonight, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, now we're gonna grab our runner up tonight. That is gonna be this fella right here. And I mean, they were. Let's say it was almost like they were playing leapfrog at the end, Andrew. I mean, they were swapping positions back and forth. And I mean, I'm gonna go on a limb, man, and say that's probably some of the hardest fought racing you've done for a while in this series. Because I mean, you and Craig were just inches apart so many times tonight. It was, I mean, there was times where even like me trying to be a quote unquote professional, I mean, I was catching my breath at times, like while I was talking, and it's like, oh, that's close. I mean, how tense, how wild was that for you behind the wheel?
It was pretty wild for me to send in it pretty hard. There was a couple of times where um, I didn't think I had to kind of overcook my tires a little bit. Tires are way up the temp, losing grip, and I was unable to get the runs that I needed to make the pass. But that was fun. That was really fun. But I'm sure Andrew's going to knock me for putting it in the wall with 2 to go. So go ahead, blast me.
Actually, my my question I had for you was, how upset were you that you had to restart after the yellow with Yari taking the lead back in P4? Uh, I'll let you answer that question first, and I'll ask a quickie follow-up.
I was actually quite upset. I kind of wanted that run to kind of play itself out, um, which would kind of put more cars in front of me, and I didn't like that one bit. Of course, nobody likes that when you're leading like half the race. You know what I mean? And it was a battle. It was an uphill battle to uh, get back up toward the front. Like I said, if that caution had come out, I think it'd be pretty much be me down to me and Craig because I can catch up to him pretty quickly.
Well, then we'll take the flip side of that argument. After you restarted P4, you got to P1 in 2 laps. And how aggressive did you feel like you had to be for that? And was that as easy as you thought it'd be?
I really thought it'd be a little bit harder with more traffic. As you know, as you're a car, IndyCar driver as well, but kind of semi-retired. I know you are. The more cars that are in front of you, the more tough it is to pass. The arrow push, I hate it the most, but tonight it was a little bit of a factor. You really had to bide your time in doing that. But getting from fourth to first, I did not expect that one bit.
Well, you did a nice job there. But another question I had for you was fuel saving any part of your race attitude tonight?
Yes.
Because it seemed like, well, okay, I find that interesting because it seemed like as I'm watching you, and you'll hear this as you watch the broadcast back, it seemed like you wanted nothing but to be out front. You led the first stint. You held Craig off as you allowed him to save some fuel, but even then it was a questionable situation if the fuel save was worth it or not. But even after the restarts, it seemed like all you wanted to do was be out front. So was that a matter of you controlling the fuel save out front, or was that a matter of you just wanting the clean air and just go for it and see what happens later on?
So during the second stint, I really worried about fuel, and I stood behind him for about maybe 5, 8 laps, saving a little fuel. And then when it's come down toward the pit time, I said, "Uh-oh." I'm looking at my fuel numbers, and they didn't look very good. So I let Craig by, and I was actually managed to save one little extra lap of fuel, and that kind of helped. Ah, what a tough race, man. Tough race. Fuel saving is not my gig. I hate fuel saving. That's not my thing.
That's why I asked the questions, because I definitely saw a different version of you tonight, where it was a complete battle from the middle part of the race right to the end, where you're like, nah, I want to be the front car. I want the clean air, and I
Pretty
will
much.
control the race
Pretty
exactly how
much.
I wanted. And it seemed like you were going to do just about everything to win the race, especially at the last restart, where you were like, you guys are too wide around the track for, I think, 4 laps straight, which really doesn't happen around here too much. So I
Yeah.
think you really took the fight tonight, and you took a step forward, and you showed that when you really put focus and put your head down, that you're gonna be a contender.
Yeah, I greatly appreciate that. Like I said, I really, really I raced Craig pretty dang hard. It was just one mistake, and I looked back and I went back to the replay. It was actually he was actually further away from me than I actually really thought. So I had that natural reaction of to move up a little bit because it makes me think like, oh God, he's going to hit me, because if you actually look, his car was come up track and I thought he was going to hit me, but he wouldn't have, but it was pretty close. And that mistake ultimately cost me the win, but it is what it is. So I'll take second.
No, it was a great run tonight, Matt. Like I said, I mean, that was probably some of the wildest racing we've seen. Like I said, you guys are just going back and forth, back and forth. Yeah, it was really good stuff between you and Craig. So, yeah, that's like definitely don't hang your head on that one. That's like it was a hell of a fight.
I'm not worried at all, man.
And
It is what it is.
and yeah, so floor is yours. Any thanks and shout outs for that runner up tonight?
I'd like to thank everybody that showed up tonight. And I once again I greatly appreciate every single one of you that came out tonight. Thank you so much. Shout out to my boys at TWR. Shout out to you, Andrew. And I'm so glad you didn't knock on me. That I appreciate that. Gael, your voice beautiful as usual. Guys, keep up the good work. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
All right, that is Matt Wagner, which leaves us one feller left to chat with. That's going to be this guy here, a Mr. Craig Forsyth. And Craig, I mean, so the first green flag pit stop, I feel like you're looking at everything's like, all right, this is good. I got a great gap. I nailed my pit entry, pit exit. Caution comes out. You're like, oh no, now he's gonna have the draft on me. Because I mean, you and Matt were working hard there at the end of that first fuel run, and then caution comes out. And I mean, what's the mindset at that point for that first one?
I mean, it's the risk. It's the risk at this track where, I mean, you'll always get rewarded if you stay out longer. Just because the way it ends up is you're anyone that pits earlier, they're going to be a lap down. The longer you stay out, if a caution happens, you're going to end up with the lead on the cycle. It's just if a caution doesn't happen, you're going to be a mile behind. So, but I mean, this is a track where pit exit seems to always breed cautions. So I knew it was a chance. I knew it was a risk. And I mean, I think it happened on both pit cycles, right? But
Yes.
I mean, I knew that Matt and I were really, really fast. So I wasn't too worried. I mean, once Matt was committed to going in first, I knew that I from then on had the fuel advantage on him. So he was really the main one I was focused on, because I knew anyone else we could probably drive away from given enough laps. It was just a matter of we needed to get by them quickly. And normally I'm well, I shouldn't say normally. I'm not very good at getting by people at this track. I caught Yari. I think he had to back out of it on cold tires, and had been ready for making that move on him. And then it just came down to Matt and I think, I think even Matt knows he was the faster driver tonight. It's just that I was able to get by him when I needed to, and defend when it was absolutely important to.
So I'm curious, Craig, when you drive at a track like this where you have such different sides of the track, right? You have turn 1 and 2 with very, very steep banking, and you have turn 3 and 4 a little bit more flat, but able to keep the banking enough where you could make it around the track pretty flat-footed. How often are the drivers playing with the tools in the car in such a way that every lap you're changing your weight jacker and your roll bar settings 2 times? Is that what you were doing tonight, or is it something you just try and compromise one side of the track versus the other? Right. And also doesn't matter if you're battling someone.
Oh yeah, very much. I mean, I was basically going. I had a 6 weight jacker difference between what I was using in 3.4 and what I was using in 1.2. I generally don't try and also change the roll bars, because I'm not good enough at picking up on what the subtle differences makes to go, okay, this is the better way to do it. I'd rather just leave the car in the position that's made me happiest. So I had found I'd moved the weight jackers to well, I think we started at 6.1. I moved them to 5.1, and I basically left the ARBs there the whole race. It was just using the weight jacker for the corners. I'm pretty sure that's why I was nowhere near as fast as other guys going through 3.4. I mean, going down the main street straight every lap, you could see guys able to make time on me there. And I just knew that at that point I had to defend the top line going into 1.2 to make sure that I got the better launch to go down the back straight.
So every lap, it just so everybody that's watching knows it's two changes a lap every lap for 135 laps. Am I right?
Yeah, that's what I was doing. And then, yeah, if I had to go, if I was trying to make the inside pass down in the bottom of 1.2, you're going, even more weight jacker. But that's where you get dangerous. If you go too much weight jacker, you're gonna kick the back tires out. So, but you need a bit more weight jacker to get the car to arc around the corner faster, so that you can get back on the power and try and make that under the pass on the inside, it's really hard to do at this track.
And are you trying to go even more aggressive if you're battling someone like Matt? Like, how were you trying to tamper your weight jacker brain knowledge just based on what you were doing by yourself? How are you approaching a battle with somebody? Are you trying to go more aggressive, or are you trying to say, oh, I don't want to spin out?
No, I was trying to keep it safe. I mean, I know that we're I think it's Matt and I and Charles battling it out for the win, the championship, I think. So I didn't want to do anything that was going to cause me to crash. So we were, tonight was about playing safe and not making any super aggressive moves. So that's I was trying not to be too defensive until we got down to the final laps, where at that point it was just okay. We need to go for it, and I got lucky. I think the Matt hit the wall out of 2 with like 1 to go or 2 to go, and that slowed him down just enough that he wasn't able to mount another charge before the checkered flag flew.
Yeah, it was. I mean, yeah, that fight between you and Matt. I mean, that was some really, really fun stuff to watch. I mean, like I said, you guys were going at it tooth and nail. There's times where when you were on the inside, I thought you were gonna get into Matt. Times when he was on the inside, it looked like he was gonna get into you. But I mean, you could tell you guys were giving it just everything you guys had. So no, that was a really fun fight to watch, and definitely great job by the two of you, and I say just put it on a hell of a show there at the end. So,
well, yeah, it's nice to drive against someone like that. We're both, we respect each other as drivers, and it's like, I think there were two times where coming out of 4, he would, could have done the Brazilian chop across my nose to take the outside line, but we probably would have hit. So he just, he didn't, because he knew he could get me again. And I think on the third time he was finally able, to clearly do it with enough time that he wasn't going to be a problem. But there were a couple instances where he could have just chopped across my nose to dominantly take the outside line and solidify, and he didn't, because it's how we drive, right? We've driven against each other for a long time now.
I was going to say that's much to Teed's pleasure as he's rubbing his hands together.
Well, I think Teed offered $5 if someone would take either of us out. So I don't know who he would pay if we took each other out.
We talked about that. Go back and watch.
Yeah, we made a discussion about the $5, and then you guys got. I mean, I thought that was like, oh no, they're gonna each get the $5. It was yeah. Like I said, you guys were. It was a hell of a fight, and so I'm glad I was able to be a part of it on my end, because that was a ton of fun, man. So yeah. So before we let you go,
I was gonna say, Matt made a great setup tonight. It was the setup had it was just loose enough that it was fun to drive, and you could use the tools to. I'm looking forward to going back and watching it, because I think it was probably good battles the whole way through the field.
Yeah, no, it definitely was, and I think you'll enjoy that one for sure. So, before we let you go though, and get all that going, I say definitely want to give you the floor. Any thanks and shouts for that win here tonight?
No, first I got to thank Jim over at 40 Raceway. I mean, he got the third place on the podium tonight, so good for Jim. Great result. Happy with that. Happy to take first and third for 40 Raceway. And everyone over at Area 51, and we're seeing reduced fields right now, but we're going to come back strong in the new season, hopefully. And of course, you two doing the broadcast, thank you very much for doing it. Appreciate it. You guys put on a great show. Love hearing both of you do the commentating, Gail and Andrew. Thank you.
Great job tonight, Craig. Go enjoy this one, and look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, guys. Stay safe.
Craig.
All right, and right there, right on cue, there's the contact with Matt to the outside wall as they were coming to, I think, 2 to go there. But just what a fight, though. I mean, that was probably some of the hardest racing we've seen. I say a very difficult track to race like that at, too. I mean, that was, like you say, it wasn't full chaos like Milwaukee was, but like you said, car count doesn't matter on that one. That's just a really, really fun race.
You took the words right out of my mouth there. We don't need 20 cars to have a good race like we saw at Milwaukee earlier this season, and I'm glad I predicted such a great race to call with you here tonight. Just even with 10 cars, we're racing with some of the best in the IndyCar in this league, and that can't be stated enough. We have good races at the top of the field here. And even some of these guys that are up and coming, they want to get better. Guys like Gary Lovern, Bill Colley, guys that usually race at the back, and they're sticking around because they're learning from these guys. And sometimes you got to watch some better guys up ahead of you to pick up some tips and tricks. And I think that this field is going to just get closer and closer. And if we get some more guys like Craig was alluding to, I think we're in for something really big here.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. And we got 3 more to go here until we get to be able to crown a champion. Right now, Craig's done a really good job. He's won 3 in a row now to help stretch that lead out. We got 3 more tracks, though. Texas, followed by Kentucky, followed by Auto Club. So all 3 of those definitely will be pretty exciting to watch. And the Auto Club, of course, the sister track to Michigan, it'll be a very fun finale there. So it's gonna be fun to see. Like I said, hopefully we'll be able to steal a few more guys for the next 3 weeks. But definitely we'll be here to call the shots for those. So Andrew, as always, appreciate you hopping on with these. It's a lot of fun to do these with you. And we're getting down to crunch time for all of our series, and we will be back again on Thursday night for the Super Speedway Xfinity Series. And that will be over at Daytona International Speedway to finish up the final regular season race before we get to the 4-race playoff. Again, that's been a little bit delayed due to some DDoS attacks on that previous Thursday that messed everything up and all that. So playing a little bit of catch up there. So thank you again, Andrew. It's a blast doing these with you. Looking forward to those next 3.
Yeah, we're gonna have a great finish to this season, and nothing is off the table so far. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a brand new winner in these next 3 races. Someone that shocks us, surprises us, and someone that's not even really in a championship fight, and someone that's gonna have to. Uh, I'm saying one of these guys up front has to find a way to claw their way back in the last couple of races here. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. So definitely stay tuned for that. But as always, though, thank you everybody so much for watching, for supporting the channel, for supporting the league. Say it means a ton of us, means a ton to us, and makes it a lot of fun for us as well. So, yeah, as always, though, hope you have a wonderful evening. Take care, stay safe, have a good night, and we'll see you all on Thursday. Take care, everybody.